Hello and welcome to Adventures in Visibility. Today we are going to be talking about how you can track the ROI of your social media marketing, specifically, what you're doing on social media sites around what you're posting. I'm Denise Wakeman, your host and guide to better visibility on the web, and I am so glad that you're here with me today. I'm very excited about this topic because it's one that I was burying my head in the sand around. Every time I saw these three letters, UTM, I just thought, not going there, too geeky, too techie for me. I'm not going to do it. But today, that changes. Actually, it changed a couple weeks ago when I invited my guest, David Kutcher, to be live here with me on Adventures in Visibility because I realized it was time to get this straight. I needed to know what was going on. I need to be able to help my clients with what's going on around this. And David was really, really kind. And when I couldn't figure it out on my own, he jumped on a Google Hangout with me to explain it and show it to me. And I finally got it. He finally helped me wrap my head around this whole UTM code thing. So I wanted to bring him here with you today and help get your head wrapped around it if you're not sure at all what's going on. So I just want to formally introduce David. David Kutcher is the founder of Confluent Forms, which is a boutique firm in Western Massachusetts that builds smart and beautiful websites and online strategies for their clients. I love that, smart and beautiful websites. I've never seen anybody explain what they do, or describe what they do around websites that way, and that really hit a wonderful spot for me, because who doesn't want a smart and beautiful website, right?
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's the thing, is it can't just be good looking. It has to be smart about it. It has to be a smart strategy behind it. Right.
So. It has to work for you. So before we get started, if at any time you have questions, you can post a question, do the /Q in the chat, and your question hopefully will pop up on the sidebar there, but I'm having a feeling it won't. Again. Okay, it's broken again, so never mind. I will keep my eyes peeled for your questions. We already got one, which is, what are UTM codes? And I have to laugh because it's like, that's why we're here, to explain that. Yep. So, David, welcome.
Thanks. And thanks for having me. I feel like I've known you forever, and we had never really connected. So this was
exactly. And so I'm really glad that you were able to be here with me today, because this is one of those subjects that sounds more complicated than it actually is what I learned.
Yes.
So, and now I've become a complete UTM code freak.
Good. That's what I aim to do with what we brought to the table here.
Okay.
And it's definitely this subject. I feel like all the subjects I gravitate to are the eating your Wheaties subjects, where no one really wants to talk to them. And the moment I mention them, everyone's faces just go, oh, again, something I have to think about. So, yes.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, we want it to be easy, right? Yeah. We want running our businesses and marketing our businesses to be easy. But if we just focus on the easy and we don't really know if it's working or not, or we're just focused on what's fun about it, then we don't really know, like, is it working or not. And that's really, I think, what struck me, when I saw your article, which I've posted the link to, and I'm sure you'll post the link to. And of course, there's a UTM code in my link. So it came from me. But anyway, so let's lay the groundwork for the conversation. You said, why post to social media if you're not going to track the results, the real results? So I want you to first explain what you mean is the difference between real results and social proof results, because we see the social proof results. So let's start there so people get a sense of why they should be paying attention to this conversation.
Definitely. So let's say you're a person that has a blog and you're promoting it. You're going out on social media, you're sharing your link, you're sharing it to Twitter, you're sharing it to your Google+, you're sharing it to groups within Google+, you're sharing it to LinkedIn and LinkedIn communities, and all of you're sharing your links everywhere. But you don't actually know really what's going on once you share those links. So you could be getting likes and retweets and maybe link clicks, but you're seeing more the social proof, and you're saying, You're judging the results by the social proof, those likes and those retweets and everything else. But how many of those people that are actually clicking through those links are actually coming to your website? And from there, which ones are purchasing or signing up to your mailing list or anything else like that? And that's when I talk about the real results. You know, the difference between the likes and the retweets and the difference on the business end of things of purchases, newsletter signups, subscriptions, what have you. And that's a differentiation between what I consider social media, social proof metrics and business metrics. So what we tried to do here was create a way that people could really start gaining traction in learning not just where their social proof metrics were coming from, but tying them back to their business goals. So I'll give an example that we were recently doing. I was sharing our blog post in 5 different groups on LinkedIn. Now, if I just shared that link into those 5 different groups from LinkedIn, I might see some traffic in my Google Analytics results that says you got 5 visits from LinkedIn. But how do I know which group was the one giving me that traffic? Which group's traffic was the one giving me the purchases? If I didn't use UTM codes, all I would see is that I got 5 visits from LinkedIn, not knowing which community it was that was generating that traffic and which community it was that was generating the purchases. UTM codes are an old school technology. So we're talking about at least 10 years, maybe more. Mm-hmm. It was basically analytics before it was analytics that allows you to add additional factors to your URL, such as campaign, source, and medium, and 2 other optional fields, and get really granular to learn where that person who clicked through that link came from. So in this example with LinkedIn, I was able to put the community name into the UTM code and know that one community in particular was sending all the traffic and those 2 other communities weren't. I shared a link on Google Plus in a Google Plus community. Same thing. What was interesting about that one is that it sent tons of traffic to our website, but there was no social proof. So if I was just looking at the social proof aspect of it, I would say it's a dead community. It didn't get any +1s. It didn't get any comments or reshares, but it was sending me all this traffic. So nice. They don't always align. You know, the likes and the retweets don't always align to the actual traffic that's coming to your website or where it's coming from. So without this UTM tracking, I would have thought that that community is dead. I'm never going to post there again, not realizing how much actual traffic it sent my way.
Nice. So you wouldn't have been able to, well, I guess what I'm hearing you say is that, like in that Google Plus community, you know, they didn't bother with the likes or the pluses and comments and reshares. They just went straight to your site, which is really a much better action for you than, you know, just clicking +1.
They went to the site. They went to the site, and a large percentage of them converted and did the actions we set for them. Okay. But again, I would never have known if we hadn't been using UTM codes to track where that traffic was actually coming from and what it was doing. Okay. I would assume maybe it was a different community, that it was coming from my Google Plus profile, that it was coming from, you know, some influencer who decided to share my post. Who knows?
Right. And that's why when I got my head around this, I started seeing the potential for this. And, you know, for example, this show is a perfect like little test for me, and of course my blog posts moving forward too, in that I can see where I'm getting the signups or the RSVPs, for example. So I have to tell you this story because it's, like I said, it took me a while to get my head around this. Yep. Is that so when I set up the show, I started creating my UTM code based on the Blab URL. So, but I can't track the Blab URL, right? I don't see the analytics on that. And I was like, duh. I mean, that I had to go back and totally change how I do my RSVP so that I could see who does sign up. And I ended up putting an RSVP on my actual promotion page for Adventures in Visibility. So I put at the top, I don't know, you might have seen that. I put at the top, what the coming show is, and then a link to the Blab RSVP. But what I did now is I created all my UTM codes for that page on my website so that I could see who's going to the website to RSVP or see how many people. So
exactly.
That was a huge lesson for me, even after you had, given me a personal one-on-one lesson. It was like, oh my gosh, I have to do it to an actual URL that I can track, which is my website on Google Analytics.
Right. Yep. But, and that's the thing is that I think, one of my favorite parts about my job is helping people get the light bulb to turn on. I love, I think I posted this a while back. I love seeing people's looks on their faces when they're going, oh yeah, that's what I should be doing. And this UTM codes are such this little light bulb that everyone goes, oh, and you mean now I can actually see what's actually bringing in traffic, like quality traffic? I'm like, yes, this little thing.
Okay. So can you talk about, how you create UTM codes, the actual process, because you mentioned, source, medium, and campaign.
Right.
What does that translate to in, non-geek speak?
All right. So I'm going to share my screen really quick, which I can do now, which is kind of fun.
Yay. Oh, I haven't done this before on a Blab, so this is the first. Yay.
So this is a UTM that I created for this show. So anytime I share a link in the sidebar, it's coming from this. So right now, the source, a UTM is comprised of 5 parts, 3 of which are required and 2 are optional. The first is source, the second is the medium, third is campaign, content, and term. These 2 are optional. The source is where you're going to be sharing it to. So for here, I'm sharing a link into Blab. So my source is going to be Blab. The medium is social media. So, it could be pay-per-click, cost per click CPC, it could be print, it could be all sorts of things. In here, it's social. The campaign is how you want to be seeing it in your analytics. So like I'm considering the campaign of Adventures in Visibility with Denise Wakeman as my campaign. So that's what I put in as the value. The content is, let's say you're doing tweets and you're running a campaign that's the same campaign, but different tweets. You can put the content of the tweet into that so you can keep track of it and know the difference. Mm-hmm. And the term is, let's say you're doing the same content tweet, but different hashtags. I would use the hashtags in the term field so I can test which hashtags, which allows you to do kind of A/B testing in an interesting way, just using your UTM codes. So the same tweet, different hashtags, and be able to see the difference in your analytics of which one worked. So what's interesting here is then I can now, I don't know if anyone's actually at our link, if a bunch of people can go here.
Okay, we're doing a test here. So, so click the link that David just posted for his page, because this is really cool.
So this is the dashboard that we tell people to install when they start doing read our article and everything else. We give this one out for free. So you'll see these are people that are coming in live from the Adventures in Visibility with Denise Wakeman through this, and if there's different campaigns going on, we'd be able to see them all here. And I can break it down by, source, medium, and this is over the last few days based on visits and goal completions. So you can actually start seeing your traffic and how it relates to your actual business goals and where it came from in the different campaigns you ran, which is all kind of interesting, especially if, let's say with your promotion of the show, you were promoting it on Facebook and Twitter and Blab and Google+. Mm-hmm. You'd be able to see each one of the different sources that were coming from the different campaigns and how they were aligning. Right. And then you'd be able to see from each one of those campaigns, which one's converted to your sign-up form.
Right. Okay. So you can have multiple campaigns for a source. No, a medium. No, a source.
Well, you can have multiple campaigns for the source, because it would be like Google Plus versus Facebook versus Twitter versus Blab.
Mm-hmm.
You could be doing, the medium could be, you could be doing a social and a print ad at the same time and a CPC ad at the same time. So you would have different mediums, and you could have tons of different campaigns running.
Right.
So if there was traffic coming in from my LinkedIn communities at this moment, you'd be able to see it up in this real-time campaign chart.
Right.
It would say LinkedIn, medium is social, and the campaign might be the group in LinkedIn that I shared it to.
Right. Okay. I was so excited last night because I was, reviewing everything, and I went onto my analytics. I saw that somebody was on one of my blog posts right then and there that had to click the link.
Yeah. And this isn't your total live. This is just the live from your campaigns.
Right.
It's pulling out. But yeah, it's fun when you're like, one of the main reasons why when we launched our plugin, our Chrome extension, and this blog article, I was like, I need to make sure to include a free free Google Analytics dashboard that people can right away pop in, because the moment that you start putting it into practice and seeing results in real time is the moment that you get excited about it, because you can see immediate cause and effect.
Right. Right.
And the moment you see cause and effect is the moment you're like, I need to do this all the time, because now I realize the quality of the data that I'm doing and how it's going to affect my strategy moving forward.
Right. So I had for me, I realized I needed to really think things through very clearly, before I started creating all this, because doing it on the fly, I found I wasn't being clear enough with myself when I would start seeing the results on the dashboard, because it'd be like, what? What does that mean? So I realized I needed to get a bit more specific when I was dealing with this, and also keep track of my UTM codes. Like I have, a document for this event.
Yes.
Of all the codes, so I could see what I was putting on them and what. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I can't keep it all in my head.
Well, what you just described is what the full version of our Chrome extension is going to allow you to do, is keep track of all of them and see statistics and metrics and sort them and all kinds of fun things, so that you don't have to be writing them down, but it'll keep track and help you manage all of these UTM codes that you're creating. Okay.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about different ways, because we've talked about a couple of ways to use this, different ways that you're using UTM codes or you've seen other people using UTM codes, just to give the audience an idea of, how they can, implement it into their business.
Sure. So the example I gave earlier was, the posting to different LinkedIn groups as one method, being able to see, I'm sharing a link to LinkedIn groups. I want the campaign to be the name of different LinkedIn groups, so that when the traffic comes in, I can actually correlate the actions to the community that I shared it to. That's one example. The other is Twitter, like knowing not just which tweets are getting all the visibility, but which ones are actually getting the signups. We can see the traffic inbound from Twitter, but not necessarily correlate it to a sale to a certain Twitter message that we put out, a certain tweet. The other way, I discussed this the other day in another blab, is it can actually translate into print also. I gave the example of the diner placemats. When you go to a diner and they have all the advertisements in them, you can put a UTM encoded link into a QR code and know which advertisement it was that drove the traffic to the website and got the sign up. So it can translate from offline to online as well, not just, social media. So really all it is about, instead of a person just going to your website and just saying, here you are, and not knowing where it came from, the attribution of where that visit originated, just adding these UTM codes to the end of that URL enables you to have that real idea of where your marketing is really working, where your advertising is really working, and tying it back to the visibility.
Yeah. One of the things that I've started doing, is I repurpose and republish a lot of my evergreen content onto other publishing platforms like LinkedIn Publishing and Medium and sometimes Facebook Notes. So what I've started doing is putting UTM codes in the links back to the original post so I can see if anybody comes back, and also on guest posts that, like, I write for Post Planner now. So if I link to something on my own blog, I'm putting the UTMs in there too. I mean, so this is like a whole new way for me to think about figuring out where people are. I mean, I know I keep repeating this, but I guess just got a thick around this. But that's what's starting to come to me.
No, you have to repeat it because, for so long we've heard this mantra, you can never. You're guessing where the person originated from, and this really allows you to tie it back to one specific action, one specific place that you shared the link that drove the traffic back to the website. There's actually two questions in the sidebar.
Okay, go for it.
One is, does it cost money? Well, UTM codes are free. You can use UTM codes wherever you want. It's something that's built into analytics. Additionally, our plugin that we created, the Chrome extension, right now the light version is entirely free. The light version is always going to be free. We're going to add a paid option as well, but that's, you can use the Chrome extension, the light version, for free. And the Chrome extension was really just a matter of creating a service so that people really get in the habit of using them. Because without this tool, in my opinion, there's the whole act of going through and UTM encoding your URLs and shortening them and everything else. It's such a pain in the butt and nobody wants to do it. I didn't want to do it. I would always forget because it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. I'd have to remember to go do this, then come back and share my link. Here, we've tried to make it part of the process so that you have no excuse.
Right.
Like, it literally takes 15 seconds. Like, to do the whole process, it's right in front of you because it's right next to the address bar. Like, you just hit the link, follow it, walks you through the process, share your link.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Like, I just published a blog post this week. So I, as soon as it was published, I immediately went up to, the extension, and I just created all my UTMs. You can just switch what's so brilliant about it, which makes it so easy, is that you can just switch out the source and the whatever the source. Really, if you're doing one campaign, you just switch out the source: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and start there, and just copy each of those Google short links.
Yep, and it automatically creates the Google link shortener.
And when you change the source, it changes the link. So they were done in less than a minute. I copied them to a doc, and I put it in, my folder for that blog post, and just said UTM codes for. And then when I create a new one, I just add a new one to that doc.
You're perfect.
That's my habit that I've been quickly forming over since we first started talking about this. But
that's awesome.
Thank you. I was getting confused. That's why I had to do it. The other thing that I want to make sure is really clear is that you can add UTM codes to other people's URLs. And this can be used for influencers, right? So I didn't make this up. I think you did, or I heard it from Stepan, or I heard it from Mike Alton or somebody, but I'm doing this now too.
I think a bunch of us heard it from William Rock.
Okay, I don't know who he is.
I heard it first from him, and I think he told me and Stefan, and we were both like, "That's awesome." Or maybe it was Stefan that came up with it and told me and William. I don't remember. But so the idea being that, if you add your name or like your blab show to the campaign, and the person on the other end is actually looking at their Google Analytics, that they're looking at their Google Analytics. When they start checking the data and they look at the different campaigns, they'd see your name in there. And they'd be like, who is Denise Wakeman? And what is this show that she has? And why is she talking about me? So it helps brand you as an influencer, because in their analytics, they're seeing that you and your show sent traffic to their website, which is kind of like the epitome of an influencer. You got people to do something. So if you're a person that has a big platform and you can send traffic to somebody and they know that, they're going to turn around and say, okay, I need to be on your show because you obviously are driving good traffic to my way. Or I need to sponsor your show because your audience is clearly a good fit for my product or service.
Right.
So it's a great little hack.
Or who are you? You know, I need to get to know you because, you know, clearly you're doing something that I need to know about. So this is to me, this is when I saw that, it like went, oh my God, that's brilliant. And, you know, who knows if they're looking at their analytics, but I really like it. It's a great visibility play without being smarmy about it or like, you know, overt about it. It's like if you are naturally sharing the things that you love, the things that you think are useful and valuable, and you're sharing them to your audience, and you know the recipient of that traffic sees that, you know, that's telling them something about who you are without you going, hey, pay attention to me.
Right, exactly. It's like a nice little covert action that, you know, gets you on their radar if they're paying attention, and you hope they're paying attention. So yeah, it's when I saw it, I was like, this is an awesome little thing. You know? And I use it all the time now, and you know, it's regardless of whether the person on the other end ever notices it, you should still do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty much doing it too. Mike Alton had a blog post about how to set it up in Hootsuite, and I did that so that it's automatically.
Of course he had a Hootsuite way of doing it. So
yeah, well, hey, you know, and he's the Hootsuite king. So you know, go check out Mike Alton and look up UTM code, and because I don't have that in front of me, but you know, if you use Hootsuite, it's a good way to, you know, you're using the Chrome extension for Hootsuite, then it makes it really easy to do. Okay, so tell us more. Sorry,
go ahead.
Just like
go ahead.
I wasn't expecting to have this conversation about Mike Alton, but he is part of the conversation because of that. Tell us a little bit more about what we can expect with the pro version of
Sure.
UTM for the win.
UTM for the win, yes. And I it's funny, I've been talking more about UTMs than UTM for the win, but you know,
is that what it's called?
It is. That's exactly what it's called. You know, and it all stemmed from me thinking, you know, when we're building this app, because it's my partner, my business partner is the one doing all the programming, and I'm just giving him like tech direction. I'm saying, I want these features and functionality in it. I needed to do these things, and he's going, okay, I'll build it, which is awesome. The pro version that we're going to coming out with is designed for the people that are not just making UTM codes, but really need to manage them in a greater sense or share them with a team of people. Or keep track of them in a way beyond just seeing what's in their analytics. You know, right now, if you share a UTM code and it doesn't get any traffic, you would never know that it didn't get any traffic because it wouldn't show up in your analytics. It would be a 0, so it would never show. So you're only actually able to see in analytics those that actually drove some traffic. So the pro version is going to be designed to keep track of all your UTMs and see all of the things, not just what did generate, but also what didn't, as well as being able to share with a team so that if you are a team of marketers working on a project together, you can see all of these UTM codes that you've generated all together in one place. So it's going to start from that premise that a person that needs greater access to the data, greater access to all of the things they've done in this realm, and wants to share it with their team of people. And beyond that, it's going to have a number of quick features as well, such as, you know, if you're sharing a link, it'll automatically pull up all the different UTMs you've done in the past, so you can see all the campaigns that were related to a specific URL, be able to reuse them if you want to, all kinds of other fun things like that. So the idea being taking it to the next level of professionalism as it relates to running your online campaigns.
Yeah, I think that having a way to track them and see them all together versus my document with just a bunch of links on it would be helpful.
Well, and that's we learned that even top marketing people, that were using UTMs were doing nothing more than putting them in a spreadsheet. And I was like, that can't be it. There has to be a something beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're building right now.
Okay.
So
you
yes,
have an
that's
EDA?
the direction is. We're rolling out features as we can get them completed and stable. We're going a little slower, mainly because this is all built as an API from the bottom up. So third-party systems will be able to integrate with this when we're ready to do that. There's a lot of third-party sharing apps that we would like to be able to integrate with. So we're building it with the idea in mind that, let's say, for example, Canva wants to, be able to go from the UTM FTW site to share a link to Canva to generate an image to then go to sharing. We want this to all be, part of a process that takes you from URL to your final share, but everything in between as well.
Nice.
Yep.
So there was a question from WGP7110. I get asked a lot how to drive traffic to your website, so I give them the organic route to spend about 15 minutes a day on social media groups and comment on other blogs and join in on the conversation. Oh, it looks like there's more to it. Oops, no. Okay, I'm not sure what the question is. Sorry. Well, okay, I lost it. Anyway, in terms of definitely using the organic route of sharing on social media, the idea of using the UTM code is that rather than just sharing like the permalink from the blog post, you're actually creating a way to track to see if your organic traffic attempts are working. That's what it's about, right? Okay. I don't know if there's anybody who wants to jump on, but would you be open to that?
By all means.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I've unlocked the seats, if you want to jump on and ask David any specific questions about UTM codes or analytics around your UTM codes, that kind of thing. I will tell you that my first issue around this was that I couldn't get around the fact that the source didn't mean the actual source of the content, like the blog post. And I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but every time I read source, I've already told you this, just so everybody else can see how I think. When I thought source, I thought, well, the source is the blog post, but that's not what the source is. So just to be really clear, the source is where you're actually placing that link. So if you're sharing the link on Twitter, the source is Twitter. So that was my first trouble with it.
Yeah, it's the originating source of the click, which is where you placed the click, like where you placed the link. So yes, it could kind of be considered placement. From the person that's creating the UTM code, it's the placement, like where you're placing the link.
Right.
But if you're looking at your analytics, you're tracking the source of the person that clicked.
Right.
So I guess it's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah, I think it's about the lingo, and sometimes, like, since I confess I don't spend a lot of time on my analytics. I've probably gone more in the last 2 weeks than normally.
And that's the great thing, is that this gets you in there, because now you it's cause and effect. Like
exactly,
said, it's getting you to think about where did the traffic come from.
Yeah. So when I look at my analytics, I understand source. When I read the source, Twitter, Facebook, Blab, whatever. And that's also helped me, make sense of it, because there are lots of little pieces in this. So, okay. So nobody wants to join us? Come on. Are you seeing this on other labs, David, that less people are jumping in?
It's talking about analytics. Generally makes people they want to be the person that's in the back of the classroom, because it's talking about math and numbers and dense things, which is fine. I understand, when a significant part of my company's business comes from analytics consulting. And, I often start the conversation with them is, how often do you look at your analytics? I don't know, once a week. I was like, how long do you spend when you get in there once a week? I don't know, 5 minutes. Well, what do you look at? How many visitors I've had, what my bounce rate was. I was like, okay, are you tracking conversions? What are you tracking? I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at really. And that's usually where we start the conversation. That's the baseline for what I would consider 99% of all people who have Google Analytics installed on a website.
Yeah, well, I can relate. So, hey, Bill. Hi, Bill.
I think Bill's muted. Bill, you might have to jump back in.
Okay, well, we'll keep talking while you figure it out.
But yeah, it's that's what I consider the baseline, is that most people are scared to look at it or have no idea what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And usually our consults with people about analytics starts from that baseline of, okay, well, let's start getting you something that you want to track and be able to see as it relates to the value of your business.
Right, right.
And we usually pick up just one thing, whether it's a newsletter sign up or a purchase or something. I'm just like, okay, let's set up one goal in the website so we can track goal conversions. And I say, okay, and after that, we're not gonna look at our analytics for 2 weeks, and then we're gonna pick it up and we're gonna look at it again. And then in 2 weeks, when we pick it up and we look at it again, and they see goal conversion rates, they're like, oh, now it relates to my business. Now it relates to what I'm doing. It's not just about visits, but it's about accomplishing goals. Now I see the value in this. Okay,
I may need to have another consult with you. Because I don't know how to set up a goal in analytics. So, and Stefan asked, did you put event tracking on the RSVP link to track the conversions? I'm like, no, I don't know I don't think so. I wouldn't know.
Right. So what he's getting at is, one of the things we could do is, track how many people clicked on the link to go to the RSVP by sending a JavaScript event through analytics. And we then can set up analytics to listen for that little JavaScript message to come through and record a goal every time they click on that link. And then what you'd be able to do is say, okay, well, what percentage of people that came from, Twitter clicked on this link, but then click on the button to RSVP, and we'd be able to see percentages. So yes, then we'd be able to say, Twitter, tweet on Twitter, came to the website, clicked on the event button, RSVP'd, and you will see the whole conversion chain, the funnel as it occurred.
Which is really what you should be doing.
Should is a loaded word.
Okay, all right. Well, it would be ideal to do.
Well, it would be ideal, because then what you can really start doing is saying, you know what, my Twitter messages are just not doing it for me. Like, I need to change up the way I'm doing things. Maybe my messaging is off. Maybe, I'm posting at the wrong hours, and killing a unicorn. Anything. But then you can start testing it and saying, maybe it looks like, my audience is more active at these hours, or, these specific hashtags that I'm using are much more effective than these other ones, or I need to join some new LinkedIn communities because the ones I'm in really are not doing anything for me.
So is an event the same as a goal, or totally different?
So an event is kind of like raising a flag to analytics that analytics can be looking for.
Okay.
And then basically what you can do is you can set your analytics to look for those events. And if an event occurs, record a goal.
I see. Okay. And so, okay. I don't know. This is getting complex. So
it's okay.
Are there...
it's sounding complex, but it's not nearly as complex as you think it is.
Okay. Okay. I'm sure not. It's a matter of learning it, right?
Yes. Well, it's a matter of just doing it once. Like, once you do it the first time, you're like, oh, I get it now. Not that hard.
Okay, let's try Bill again.
Bill, can we hear you?
I don't know. Can you?
Yes.
Oh, good. Nothing like.
Do you have a question for David?
So I had a question, and I may have just missed this. If you're doing a blog post that you're sharing and the source is Twitter or Google Plus or wherever else you're putting it, do you do the blog post and work that out into like a campaign name so you know which blog post you were sharing? Is that where you think of that?
No. So so to know where the URL came back to, you would see the campaign's landing page.
Okay.
And that would be the URL that you end on. So you don't need to put the URL in because you're going to see where it's going to end up. Let me share my dashboard again. So am I able to? It's going to be really small, unfortunately. So we can do campaign landing pages where we can see in reverse order where they're coming into specifically.
Okay.
Right. So you can work your way backwards in analytics to say, okay, let me track the campaigns that went to this page. Show me all the campaigns that went to this page and where they came from.
Oh.
So this dashboard shows you one way, but you can also go in through a different way by going into acquisition, all campaigns. And this is me jumping around.
Okay.
Say, like, you can kind of bump around. I need to do secondary. My apologies. Anyway, but yes, it's very possible to do this. And basically, you're working your way backward in analytics.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
So that way, you're keeping the campaign really about, which share you're doing to where and understanding it that way.
Okay. Great.
Go ahead, Bill.
That was my main question right now.
Yeah, I mean, you figure that you're already capturing where they're coming in through in one of the other fields. So there's no reason to have a duplicate, that content duplicated in one of the other fields.
Okay.
So then what would a campaign be then? So you're sharing a blog post all over, your social networks. How would you name that campaign?
All right. So if I was sharing, let's say I have a new blog post, the first time I share it to my profile in Google+, I would just put in profile share as the campaign name, because that's where I'm sharing it. I'm sharing to my Google+ profile, because you already have that the source is Google+, the medium is social, so the campaign is just I'm sharing it to my profile. But then let's say going into the social media marketing group or community on Google+, I'm going to change the campaign to be social media marketing. Whereas the source is still Google+, the medium is still social.
Got it.
The URL is still the URL that you're sharing. So
Does
that's
that
how
make
I would
sense,
differentiate.
Bill?
Right. So you got that campaign. The landing page could be the same for those two. But by the campaign name, so that's where you can combine them to understand.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yes.
So
you can see
Bill,
all the campaigns that came into a URL.
Right.
Correct.
Right. You don't want
so Bill, like when you do your travel chat or whatever it's called that I see you doing on Twitter from time to time.
Right. And the travel chat. Yeah, I do that.
Yeah. So if you're sharing links to your blog post, let's say you're to the one that you just got the review on Stop Jet Lag, and you're sharing that blog post, so David can check my work here. The source would be Twitter, the medium would be social, and the campaign would be travel chat or whatever it's called. What's it called again?
The travel skills chat.
Right. Travel skills chat.
Right.
Yep.
Did I get that right? Okay. So then you would know everybody who clicked, when you see that landing page in your analytics, you would know how many people clicked through from travel chat on Twitter.
Right. Yep. So like if there's Twitter, for Twitter chats, I'm on all the time, but this way I can see like, oh, this Twitter chat got me lots of good traffic. This Twitter chat, nah, not really so much.
Right.
Same thing with Google+ communities or LinkedIn groups, same thing, like being able to differentiate the different activities that we're engaged in and be able to see how they all relate to each other.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I think it'll
by tomorrow.
What'd you say?
I'll try and implement it by tomorrow at 9:30 or 9 o'clock, but if not next.
It's really easy. It's easy.
It's super
literally
easy.
Once you install, let me tell you, it's easy. You go to David's blog post,
Right,
which we have posted a bunch of times, and he'll post it again. And you install the Chrome extension, and then when you go to your blog post, be on your blog post, click that extension and fill in the blanks, and you will have a UTM code.
okay.
It literally adds maybe 15 seconds to your process. And before we created this, I mean, this is the process that I had to tell my clients on how to do this. First, I would tell them, first you have to go to Google's UTM builder page. Then you have to create the UTM from copying and pasting your URL over. Then take that long URL that they created and put it into your link shortener, and then get a link shortener, and then take that shortened link and go over to your social sharing site. And literally, they would look at me and go, I'm never doing that. That is so ridiculous. I am never using that. So the whole point of this was to make it so that literally it added 15 seconds to your process, because it walks you through it and then takes you to where you share and everything else like that. I want to make it easy. I want to make it so easy that you had no excuse not to use it.
Right.
And it is.
The steps.
Yep. Combine all the steps. Like even the Google URL shortener is automatically doing it for you. You don't even have to click a button. It's automatically creating a shortened Google URL for you right there. And then putting it into the social sharing button so you can just click a button to share it to Google Plus from there. Like it does it all for you. Only thing it doesn't do is
really
write
cool.
your text for you.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's not creating the tweets. Come on.
You know what? I thought about it. I was mulling it over with my partner. I was like, so what if we grab the title and the description out of your meta description automatically and just made that the tweet? He's
there
like,
you go.
Really? Do I have to do this?
Yes.
But yeah.
That's right. Here, Lainey says, come on, man. Why can't it read my mind and write my text for me? Stepan has a question. He says, if there's no specific campaign for what you're posting on social, would you use something like scheduled for your campaign name?
Yeah, I mean, like I've been using scheduled. I've been using profile post if I'm just like putting it up in my profile or putting it up in my stream. Announcement, like it's something that is just like your default share.
Right.
Like that's totally fine. It's as long as you understand your own shorthand.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
That was my problem.
Well,
when I looked at the campaigns, I didn't know, like, what is that? Like, what did I do?
I look at it as, as long as you can look back at your notes 2 months from now and understand what the hell you were talking about, okay, that's fine. But if you think to yourself, in 2 months from now, am I really going to understand what I just left as a note for myself? You need to come up with a better naming convention.
Stepan.
Honestly.
Too funny.
Okay. That's actually a great campaign name. I got to remember that one.
Okay. This has been fabulous. It's almost an hour, and I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I do have a final question for you. What I ask all my guests, because after all, this is an adventure in visibility. So, David, what I'd like to know from you is, what is your most memorable adventure? And it can be anything, as you know.
My most memorable adventure. So I have to mull this over for a while. Honestly, these days I have memorable adventures, I think, every week, because I have two little kids. So I have a 3-year-old. She's going to be 3 this month, and I have a 6-year-old. And whether it's going fishing last weekend to, just going hiking or whatever, like we have memorable adventures every week. So
that's wonderful.
I know it's so cute, but honestly, like
I hear you. I don't have kids, but I get it. My sisters have kids, so I can see how that would be definitely an adventure all the time.
And we take great pictures. My son has a little digital camera, and it's also fun seeing how he records his memorable adventures too. So it's funny when you're a 5-year-old, or he actually got the camera when he was 4, and seeing the perspective, like looking up, is always funny. But I think that's memorable adventures every week with my kids.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that with us. So I know we've been posting a lot. The link to your article, your specific article about UTM codes. Where else can people find you online?
Confluentforums.com is the best place to find us. I say us because it's not just me, but me also. Confluent Forums is our Twitter handle, and that's probably the 2 best places.
Okay, excellent. So thank you one and all for being with us today. You can get first notice of my shows, Adventures in Visibility. I do them once a month. You can go to the link that I'm posting right now that has a UTM code in it to sign up to get on the first to know list for Adventures in Visibility. And it's also available as a podcast. You can hear the shows on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, on my site, everywhere you want. I try to make this work for everybody so you get it in the format that you're looking for. So David, thank you so much for helping demystify the not so complex UTM codes. And, I really encourage you all to go read the article, install the Chrome plugin, and start playing with it, because I think that, like me, you'll probably get addicted to it, because once you start seeing, and also install the dashboard, the custom dashboard that they've set up for you, because that's going to help connect what you're doing with the UTM codes to what's actually happening, with your conversions. So
be prepared to be surprised. Seriously, be prepared to be surprised and find things that you did not expect to see. Because
exactly.
I mean, honestly, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been discovering things that, a lot of my assumptions of my traffic and visibility were completely wrong. Just be open-minded, because it will change how you do things. Yeah.
Well, and, you need to give it some time. I've been really, focused on it for the last 2 weeks, and I can see that over time I'm going to get better data on what I need to do and how I need to tweak things and that sort of thing. So this has been a huge boon. And I didn't even, when I went to look at the article, I just thought, and now I get it. And you will too. I promise.
Sounds good.
I bet you David would even answer your questions if you pinged him somewhere.
You know what? We usually, and I turn it off because I'm on the blab with you, but I have OLARC installed on our website, and people ping me all the time throughout the day and just ask questions.
Right.
Please, if you're on there and I have OLARC turned on at the time, ask me a question, drop me an email. I'm happy to chat. And we also have a 15-minute free consultation, and just look at the reviews. People are like, how could you teach me that much or open my eyes that much in 15 minutes? There's so much there. It just takes a little bit of time.
Totally agree with that. So you guys go check it out, go do it, install the extension, and start making UTM codes for everything that you're posting. Thank you, David.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Have an adventurous day, everyone. Okay.